Shout out Near Falls with D Hall's podcast.
Welcome to Near Falls with D Hall. He's talking on bars and how they win it all. Yeah, it's just Near Falls with D Hall. The final takedown, the glory or the fall. So loosen up, step on in, wrestle with the need to win. Talking Near Falls with D Hall. Ready or not, he's here to brawl.
All right, joining me now on the call, we have head coach of the Trinity Hillers, Mr. Ron Tarquinio. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Donnie, and yourself?
Doing real good indeed. Always good to have you on, Coach. Super pumped up to talk to you.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on and getting a chance to talk about Trinity and as well as hearing about all the other teams in the league. So appreciate what you're doing.
As always, Coach. And, you're a big part of, me being here. And, I've talked about that at length a bunch. So let's get into the Hillers, man. Talk to me, wrap up last season and kind of bring me into what is the off-season program.
Yeah, so last year, thought we finished really strong. We had a really young team. I think counting down at the end of it, we had like 8 or 9 freshmen that started for us. I think 8, and then maybe down to a point at 7. One guy's dropped some weight, but we had a really young team, but we finished really strong. We ended up losing the Thomas Jefferson in a nice battle at the team playoffs, and then individually, we did really well as well with TJ Allison and Dom Canale making the state tournament. We had 4 placers at WPIALs with Junko and Parker Jennings and then of course TJ and Dom. And so I thought we had a pretty good season, and now we're just looking to build on it next. We had a lot of guys wrestle freestyle this past year, so we had a couple guys go out to Fargo, and so we've been training all year long. I was looking forward to like a little break after this year, and so I was telling this the other day. It's funny. I had guys text me, "Hey, coach, when we start freestyle?" I was like, "All right, I'll be there on Wednesday."
That's a great problem to have, right, Coach? I mean, you got to love that.
It is, and I try not to get too many breaks because you get out of your routine, then it's kind of like hard getting back in there. But those guys are contagious the way they want to work, and so we went solid all throughout the summer, and there was guys like, hey, can we get a few more in before we head up to Fargo? And so there were a couple weeks where we were going 3-4 days a week, just whoever, hey, if you guys want to get these extra 2 days in, whoever wants to join, and we had guys to do that. So end of summer there, we took a little break, and then a few weeks into the school year, we got right back up to where we are now. So been working hard.
Love that, Coach. You talked a little bit about some of the guys that did well at the end of last year, and obviously this is what year? How many for you in the program? 5, 4?
This is year number 6. Year number 6.
Yeah. I shortchanged you. Sorry, Coach. That's a good thing.
Hey, it goes by so fast. It feels like 20,
dude.
But
I was just saying that to someone. I was like, I've been doing this thing for like 4 years already. It's just flown by. But so talk to me about some of the alumni, some of the guys that, even if they're not wrestling, whatever, who are doing big things post Trinity High School.
Yeah, so right now, TJ Allison's wrestling up in Gannon, senior from this past year. And so he did pretty well at a tournament a few weeks ago. And then Bodie Morgan transferred from Davidson up to West Liberty. He had some nice matches in a tournament past couple weeks. And then Blake Reener's down at Davidson. And, right now he's in concussion protocol. But he was having a pretty good preseason and stuff right before then. And then he just been dealing with some concussion issues right now, and so he's just trying to get back healthy and back in the competition schedule. So,
what do those guys wrestle? What weight classes?
Good question.
Blake's on the spot.
Blake's 41, I believe. TJ's at 49, and then Bodie, I think he's been wrestling 165.
Beautiful. Just so if those want to go out there and follow those guys, they can find them a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, moving on into this team again. Give me, obviously, I'm sure you've seen or picked out some maybe some guys that you think are going to help lead the squad this year with you?
Yeah. It's hard to like point out one or two guys. I feel like we've between that young group of guys last year, and we got some, a mix of upperclassmen. We got Dom Canale coming back from taking fifth in states last year, and this will be his senior year. And we got our other senior leaders would be Bear Bruckner, Luke Poland. And then, geez, off the top of my head, trying to think, we've got like 20, 26, 27 guys in the room right now. So I'm trying
Great.
trying to go.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. But
Absolutely.
no, I talked about like the young crew, juniors done really well for us. Devin Junko and Jake Wright. Those are two guys that's won some big matches for us. Devin placed at WPIALs last year, and Kai Bland will be the one he's looking to get in the lineup. And then we had that nice group of freshmen last year that now got a year underneath their belt. And, there's a lot of them from, Parker Jennings to Landon Alt to Jackson Hoy to Carson Gerba.
And Hoy was part of that nasty 107 class last year that was just, dude, that 107 class was one of the best I've seen. I mean, you've been around it longer than I have, but in years, man, that 107 was loaded last year, top to bottom.
Yeah, 107 was just, it was tough. And, Jackson was right up with those guys. He was a little small at that weight class, but he put on some size this year, a little bit of strength. And so, looking forward to see what he's doing. And then, of course, we had like Tegan Barr, who was, that's what he was one of most improved from last year. Just a young guy at a big senior filled weight class and started. I think he started like 1-9 or 2-9. It was like every tournament we were going to, he was getting like one of the top guys off the bat, and then he just started, rolling in wins, and then finished like I think he finished just right around like 500, maybe a little bit even more, and that was end of the year stuff too. So going to some tough tournaments like at Fred Bell, he placed at that, and beat some really good guys. So we got a lot of bright spots in the lineup, and a lot of young guys coming back in to try to make some noise this year. So
you touched on it a little bit there, Coach. Just obviously the front end of your schedule has to be loaded, and a guy that gets your most improved, it starts off pretty tough. So just speak on your schedule. What's it look like this year? Is it a little bit different? Have you tweaked it? Just kind of break that down for me.
It's pretty similar from last year. We'll start out with the Trinity Duels this year, and we got another tough batch of teams coming.
Coach, I got to add in. Did you realize like how quickly that would get to be? Like that tournament's nails fast, dude. It's a great tournament.
You know what? We did it starting out because they put in the rule. That's what I love going to tournaments. I love like battling on the weekends, and not that I don't like the dual meets. I don't like them during the week and being at like 7:30 at night, and then it makes for a really long day, even though there's some really exciting duels, right? So we start out with our duels, and that's what I the first year we started, just because they put in the rule where like, hey, if you can wrestle in the playoffs, you had to have X amount of dual meets in. And so I was like, well, the way the sections were set up, I think we had like an additional team in there, which if you did tournaments the rest of the time, you kind of had like an odd number of points. And so we're like, well, what can we do with like 2 points left? And that's what we're like, well, we could do a bracketed duels. That would be 2 points. That will get us, at least 3 matches. And, so we started it. And then, they changed the sections around, which I'm like, now I'm kind of like, well, we don't need to make it bracketed, but I think all the other teams that came in the past like doing it in that format. And so, now we're having like teams that are getting competitive and like, hey, do you have an opening? We want to come. And so that's what like, Kiski did last year. They had a tough team. They came in, and it was every team that was in the lineup was
even some out of WPIAL schools. You're getting teams from outside the WPIAL that want to come in and battle too, which is great.
Yeah. Erie Prep came in and cleaned our clock last year.
Happens.
So that, and then this year Du Bois reached out. They're like, hey, we're doing that West. They do that West regional thing, and we want to kind of like
Makes
get a little
sense.
bit of just competition out of our area and see some teams from down that way. And so, they're coming this year, and so yeah, it's going to be a nice mix of teams. And then so we start out with that. We go to a Doles in Ohio the following weekend, and then before Christmas we go to the Nurse Pro Plus tournament down in Morgantown, to Powerade this year, and to Tricata. And then, of course, we got all of our section duels popping up. And then we go to a tournament called Battle of the Belt. That's out in Ohio. And, those out of state tournaments are pretty nice too, because the weight classes up top are a little bit different. So I'm
Mm.
able to slide some guys in that, like, maybe they didn't get the starting role, but since they have like a 165 instead of, the typical lineup that you'd
Yep.
see in Pennsylvania, we're able to maneuver some guys around and get some extra wrestling in. So we go there. Um, we'll finish with our last like section duel at Cannon Mac, and then we go back to the Fred Bell tournament up in Grove City. So got a nice mix of tournaments, and some challenging ones, and some ones that we could work on some skills, some confidence boosters. So we'll
Love that. And
yeah.
that's what it is, man. And you talk about it. It seems like the front and back half of your schedule, you start with Trinity Duels, and honestly, that Fred Bell tournament is becoming a mother effort at the end of the year. It's just like
It is.
same
There's
kind of thing.
been
Like they got teams everywhere coming into that.
double A, triple A, they're some brackets are really loaded.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but like Canale's weight class last year, like he wrestled kids that he wrestled in the state tournament, and then there was like Bonai from in
Yep.
double A in the bracket, and it was loaded. It was a barn burner for him. So
Yeah. You love they see that competition at the end of the year. Um,
absolutely,
Okay, let's talk about some of the coaches, or all the coaches, really. Give me
yeah,
the coaches, the people that are helping, get these guys ready day in and day out, because I
yeah.
know, can't be just a one man show.
Yeah, so I got a good number of guys helping out this year, which is going really well. A lot of different voices in the room, and just it gives a chance to mix it up. This year we had a little bit of coaching changes. Andy McGanko, who's been with me the last number of years, done a great job for me. His boys in junior high now, so he slid down and is running the junior high program along with Drew Kane and Josh Barrett, dad of one of the group of kids on our team. And so he's running that group, which doing great down there. He's got 50 kids in the room right now, which is amazing how him
I can
and
see the
Seth have.
smiles peek on your face there, coach. That's
Yes,
awesome.
how Seth and him recruit the middle school there, and they do a fantastic job. And some of my really good friends obviously I get to coach with day in and day out, so it makes it really fun on that part of it too. And then for high school with me, Seth Nicholson was at the junior high the last couple of years, and he came up and was coaching with me, and he's a great motivator. Tristan Buxton obviously has been with us the last number of years, and all great guys. They do so much for me and help me out in ways that can't thank him enough for. Paul Reener's helping out, even though he bounces down Davison a little while to go watch Blake wrestle his schedule. Zach Bowman has been with us the last number of years.
Awesome, Zach.
Great addition, help us out. Then you got Jeff Bricker, who his boy Gavin is an incoming freshman for us. He'll be a tough guy. And obviously, he's been around the game for a long time, being 3-time All American UPJ and coaching some successful high school programs too in his past. And then we were able to get Peyton Hall to come in, a day or two a week to come in
Whoa.
and roll around with the guys. And so, yeah, fortunately for us, him and his fiance bought a house right in Washington. He was looking to make some, extra money while he's training and stuff, and still trying to make world team. And so it's awesome having him like in there, and it's good for the guys that have a young kid that just got done with college coming in, and showing what made him successful, and talking about the learning points that make them successful too. So
Coach, and I think that, is a great way to ask my next question. Obviously, a guy like Peyton Hall, he's not going to do this stuff for free. As much as like you said, he's trying to compete and trying to, make a world team and do big things. Talk about the booster program. Talk about the administrators that allow these type of things, these type of relationships to form and to happen to get these type of
Yeah.
people around your kids.
Yeah, it's been really nice. Administration's given a lot of support, and that's extremely helpful. They're helping us do some things. We got like new mats in the room this year. Just got them laid out, and we're getting some new artwork and stuff here coming up soon on the walls and stuff. And so it's great to get the support from the administration for sure. All the principals and everybody's been awesome as well and supportive and come to matches and stuff and playoffs when we're in playoffs. And so that it just makes it's a tight knit community in Washington. So um, got a lot of support in that end. A lot of wrestling followers too in the school district. So it makes it nice to hear from other people that
Mhm.
follow wrestling in the district. And then obviously the booster program, that's they do awesome job of raising money, running tournaments. That's a couple of our big fundraisers are our tournaments, and so it's running one of them things is like nonstop work for a full couple days with setting
Mhm.
up mats and running concessions and whole booster program. They do nothing but support what we ask, and if it's hey, what do we need to do this year? How much do we need to raise? What do we got? Um, are we doing overnight trips? What can we do to help? And I mean, I don't have to do any booking of any hotels or anything like that. They take care of everything, and it's awesome. So, you know, can't appreciate them enough for what they do to help the program out.
Absolutely. Makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay, coach. Next question I have for you. Earlier, we talked about some of your leaders, Jackson Hoy, Bricker, some of these guys that WPIAL fans, we know their name already, right? We expect
Mhm.
them to be kind of there at the end of the year. Give me someone that maybe at the end of at the end of March, we're just going to learn their name and we will know their name going forward.
Yeah. Like I said, we had a talk the other day. It's like, hey, like last year, especially the young guys, get your feet wet, and I think there's definitely some guys that can shine through and really make some noise, and all those freshmen I kind of named earlier. I mean, sky's the limit for them. They're guys that want it. They come in like today. We had two practices today. We had a morning workout where it was it was optional, and we had like 15 guys show up for morning workout, and then
Optional, right?
yeah,
But that's how
no,
it
I
should be,
mean,
right? Like the guys should be like getting at each other, man. Like,
yeah, no, it's a thing where it's like, hey, like we're gonna be there. Hope guys, show up, and we have 15 guys, and
it's awesome.
actually, I think they bust their butts like more focused in the morning. Obviously, you go through a whole school day, and you're like, everybody's wore out by then. But
Hmm.
no, and then we go back into full room this afternoon, and it was like, hey, we got after it. So, um, the sky's the limit for it. They're hungry, and uh, it's hard to name one or two guys when I think just about every guy in that room's capable of making some noise. So it's a good problem to have, and I speak very highly of the guys because I know they want to be successful and get up there too.
All right, coach. If you won't give me a breakout, give me a glue guy. Someone that maybe you walk in the room, all the kids kind of seem to gravitate towards, that coaches love to be around. Give me someone like that. Who's the glue guy on the Trinity Hillers?
Yeah, a couple guys I can think of off the top of my head. You know, Carson Gerba is one of those guys that he can really set the tone in the room. He'll get guys either fired up wanting to fight him or get motivated to get after it. But no, he's a young kid, sophomore, but he's vocal, and he right now he's proven he's a good leader in the room, and between him and then obviously, one of my kids, he was also like one of our most proved, or like one of our hardest workers is my boy Grant Nalepka. He started wrestling like 4 years ago, and he does everything he can to get better in the room, and he's every single practice you have, he's there. Anything, like Coach Bricker will do this. He opened up a Google Classroom. He does some of like the mind, um,
Mindset stuff.
the mindset stuff
Yep.
and journaling. And so, we have a Google Classroom where guys, log into, and he puts like, and, I know one person that's definitely going to do it, and that's Grant. And so, so everybody loves Grant because, he'll ask a question after every practice. I love it because he's like, hey, he wants to figure out what little angle he can get better at. And so, yeah, that's what I'd say. Probably like two of the glue guys for sure.
I love that, Coach.
Mhm.
All right, the big one: goals and expectations you have for this squad.
Yeah. I don't know. So I mentioned about 5 times already. I think sky's the limit. It comes down to, obviously staying healthy is a big thing because, got some depth, but having the full caseload is big for the team stuff. But I think we can finish up one of the top teams. My expectations are, hey, we're going to be one of those top 3 teams. But it's gonna be a battle. There's a lot of really good teams. Keenan Mac, Norwin, Franklin, Regional, Connellsville. The NA. The team, Kiski. The teams that's been there for like ever. It seems like.
Yep.
So my expectations are, I definitely feel with the work ethic we've been, you know, p- pushing through in the room. I think we can get in that top 3 spot. But again, it's going to be a battle of wills there at the end. Individually, I think we have a number of guys that can stand out from from the bottom on up. I think there's a lot of good guys. Obviously, guys have some high goals. Between the young kids we talked about early, Dom Canale, Bear Bruckner, was a senior this year, and he kind of like he kind of elevated his game last year, won a bunch of like matches for us last year. And Ian Hollab, another one that he just got better as the year went on, went from losing by tech to guys to being in a match where it was 4-2 and in a position to win. So the sky's the limit, like I said. And I think we can push some individuals through, and that's a goal. And we just focus on, what we control in the room, and, focus on our effort and trying to get better. And then, we do that, then, things can take care of themselves in the end.
Coach, anything or anyone you want to shout out before I leave you go?
Nope. Just want to shout out you, Don Hall, for all the work that you do for WPIAL wrestling and wrestling in general, man, and what you push for the showcase stuff and this. And it's fun to see your involvement in the sport and actually, promoting the sport and getting, you're getting names and teams out there that, never really
Little
been done
guys,
before. So
all of them.
yeah.
I need them all, baby. I
Absolutely.
need them all. And I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for you, Coach. You kind of taught me the way and how to be a good person. And, always one of your number one fans right here in D Hall,
Yeah.
Mr. Tarquinio. So thank you so much
Make
for
you
coming
do
on.
them stand-ups again, Donnie.
Oh,
now
dude.
that you're leading me, I think you could probably do 200 of them.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what. I don't know. I thought about that the other day when I was coming home, and I was like, I'm talking to Tarquinio tonight, and I was like thinking about our conversation the first time. I'm like, fucking hey, man. I do remember those. They were a son of a gun. But you look back on that, man, and those kids out there, you're listening. I was one of Coach Tark's guys, man. I was one of his kids, but and I was kind of always a quirky, weird type of cat. But Coach saw through all that, and he always put some time and effort into me, man. So. Yeah. Those over there in Trinity, you guys got a good one. So believe in them, trust them, and I love watching him do his thing. So appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Later.